1-8 Infantry Battalion. Fighting Eagles 2-4 will be the call sign for myself. The mission statement for 1-8 is as follows. On order, 1-8 Infantry Battalion will seize the TCP pipeline on objective Mamba in order to defeat the 2nd and 113th Mechanized Infantry Company, size element, and provide stability operations upon occupation. Again, I say, on order, 1-8 Infantry Battalion will seize the TCP pipeline on objective Mamba in order to defeat the 2nd and 113th Mechanized Infantry Company, size element, and provide stability operations upon occupation. With that being said, sir, we're going to go ahead and break down the operation by phase, the 3-phase movement. A couple things to talk about up front. We do have 10 medical function areas. Those medical function areas will be located at LSA Stanley throughout the full operation. That will not change. However, we will be speaking specifically on 4 of those by phase, and those 4 that we will be speaking about are treatment, evacuation, med log, as well as command and control. We do have communication throughout the whole process by pace plan. That's going to be broken down during phase 1 and 2 as follows. Primary will be JCR, secondary or alternate will be FM radio, contingency will be TACSAT, and emergency will be high frequency radio. During the 3rd phase of the operation, that does change, and that will be as follows. Primary SIPR MERC, alternate will be JCR, contingency will be FM radio, and emergency will be SIPR VOA. Also, we're going to talk resources, sir. So as the 1-8 Infantry, we do currently have 6 M113s. With that being said, we have attached to us 2 ambulances from the 64th BSB. They will be pre-positioned with our unit. And we'll talk more specifically about that during phase 2. That will change in phase 3. During phase 3, one of those will go back to the 64th BSB. And again, we'll reiterate that at a later time. So, moving straight into our phase 1. One last thing actually on the map for the overlay. Everything outside of the grid, sir, is not to scale, and that comes into play mainly with the BSA and TA Panther due to the fact that that is actually further out than it appears. Moving into the first phase of the operation, this is going to be the order of march 418. It is Alpha Company, our FAST, or what we will refer to as Alpha Team, Bravo Company, HHC. The TAC will be with us during this first phase and second phase. During the 3rd phase, he will then resort back to the BSA. We will then have Juliet Company with us. Then that will be my Bravo team, or what we will refer to as the MAS as well. Myself and the doc will be there, and the front team, or Alpha team, will be the PA and my platoon sergeant for command and control. And then in the rear, we'll have Charlie. Later on throughout the operation, we will also see the 329 field artillery, and we'll talk specifically about them in phase 3. If it's okay with you, sir, instead of moving everybody, I'm just going to go ahead and move this, indicating everybody that is in our convoy. Is that okay? All right. So, first phase of the operation begins with our step off from LSA Stanley, down MSR Beagle, MSR Bassett. Then we will be going east. Then we will turn right and head south on MSR Collie. We will reach MSR Bulldog, take a left, and again go east, and we will occupy TAA Panther. That will be the conclusion of phase 1. That movement is approximately 88.2 kilometers, and the time and distance that it should take should be 1 hour and 50 minutes, give or take a couple minutes, sir. During this phase, I'm going to go ahead and talk about how I'm going to medically support this. Command and control, like I said before, I will be in the Bravo team. Platoon sergeant will be in the forward team, or Alpha team. And the reason for breaking that up during our first phase here is if we do take any casualties, the proximity to the casualty would be closer, and we are able to triage in a quicker manner. Treatment and evacuation kind of go hand in hand here, sir. So during our phase, at any point, if we do get casualty, which by our estimates we do not suspect that we will, our estimates dictate that we should only have 8 disease non-battle injuries, which are not something that I'm going to be worried about evacuating immediately. That will be taken care of at TAA Panther. With that being said, if we're triaging en route and we determine that the casualty is priority or higher, so priority, urgent, or urgent surgical, they will be evac primarily by air because that is what the op order states. However, if we are not able to set up a hasty LZ, then we will use the ambulances that are attached to us by the 64th BSB to go ahead and return them back to a more definitive care. If we triage en route, we determine that the casualty is routine or is convenience, then they will remain in our convoy until they reach TAA Panther, and we will medically treat them there. If they are not returned to duty, then we will evac them as see fit. Once we occupy TAA Panther, that will conclude the first phase. Sir, at the end of the first phase, do you have any questions at this time?
So, good job so far, great job. Quick question for you as it relates to the primary treatment on this phase is telemedicine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're only estimating predicting at this time 8
Yes, sir.
That's on this phase. All right. Okay, throw on that. Okay, good job. I have no other questions.
Right.
Good.
One last thing, we will have an AXP manned by the 690th. This is important, not due to our order of movement, however, at the end of the brigade movement, before we get into phase 2, they will collapse and fall in with the last company, follow MSR Bassett down. So this AXP will be collapsed, and they will establish another AXP at the intersection of MSR Colley and MSR Bassett. Again, that will be manned by the 690th. With that being said, we have already traveled, we have set up, and that concludes our phase 1. Moving into the phase 2 of the operation. Phase 2 begins when we step off or we SP from TAA Panther, and we will be moving to assault position Lion. TAA Panther grid coordinates are as follows: 3-8 Tango, Quebec Kilo, 4725 8252, and we will be moving to assault position Lion. Grid coordinates to follow: 3-8 Tango, Quebec Kilo, 2480 8640. Before we step off, something that will occur before we step off is the destruction of the FARC. This enemy has now been neutralized, and that is on objective BOA. We will then make movement down MSR Bulldog, heading west, and we will move into our assault line position at grid coordinates that we've just spoken about. At this time, sir, I'm going to go ahead and move these forward to make a better picture of what's going on in the battlefield. I'm going to just put HHC, understanding the TAC is still with us, and he will move at a later time. On order, our battalion will then go ahead and defeat the enemy on objective Mamba. It will be in this manner. Alpha Company, as well as the engineer component that is attached to them, will move to the west and will be attacking a platoon-sized element. Bravo Company will move to the east and will be attacking here, and Charlie Company will go straight up the middle. This is vital to understand due to the fact that Charlie Company is our decisive element, decisive company during this operation, and they are also furthest away from our BAS. The BAS will be set up upon occupation of the assault line. The reasoning for that is we know that that location is secure, and we are in very close proximity to any part of this battlefield. The furthest part of this battlefield is less than 1 click away, meaning that I know that at point of injury, I have less than a 10-minute evacuation time from point of injury to my BAS, which is vital with all of our casualties, especially urgent and urgent surgical. During this phase of the operation, primary evacuation at my BAS is going to be by ground. as dictated from higher. However, we do understand we have air assets if necessary, up to the roll 1. It will not go to the point of injury. Medlog for both phase 1 and 2 will be primary ground ambulance backhaul method, and our emergency will be to call or to radio the roll 2, and they will push forward whatever is necessary if at all possible. This will change in roll 3, or in phase 3. Command and control, again, I will be placed at that BAS throughout this whole operation. We've already talked treatment and evacuation. At that point, once all enemy has been neutralized and or defeated, all companies will move to the northern portion of Objective Mambo and will seize the TCP pipeline. At that point, I will retain one team, that will be myself and the doc as a mass in the rear at the assault line, and I will push forward my FAS, and they will go ahead and establish tailgate medicine up at the TCP pipeline. Once they've established, we can still take patients in the rear. Once they've established, they'll radio to me, and I will move my FAS forward and set up my battalion aid station at TCP pipeline so that we have better command and control, as well as being co-located with battalion leadership. Once everybody has moved up to that location, which is the TCP pipeline at this grid, I'll get you that grid later, sir. Oh, here it is. 3-8 Tango Quebec Kilo 2-4-7-4-8-7-5-3. This will conclude the second phase of the operation. At this time, sir, do you have any questions on the second phase? Sir? Right. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these pieces so I can put an overlay on it, if that's okay. The TAC will then go to the BSA. These other elements are still attached to us, just moving it for ease. I will be using an overlay for the third phase. This is the last phase of the operation. It's phase 3, Objective Viper, which is this whole entire area, will now be cut into 4 different AOs. That is where our whole brigade is. 1A specifically will be in the southernmost area of operation, also known as Area of Operation Fighting Eagle. Within this AO, it's broken into 3 segments. It's going to be for the western side, Alpha. Bravo is centrally located, and Charlie is going to be eastern side of the area of operation. Also, key point to think of here is the field artillery company will be attached to us. Mainly, their only task and purpose is to guard and secure that TCP pipeline during this whole stability ops. So we're going to go ahead and place those companies where they will be in their sectors. It's important to understand exactly how many assets they have tasked to them. They retain the ambulances that we've already tasked to them. Charlie Company having 2 because they were the decisive movement. Bravo Company retaining 1, which is totally fine due to the fact that we are located in such proximity to them. And then Alpha Company only having 1 as well. The furthest points on my area of operation is less than 2 clicks away. Again, knowing that I have 12 to 15 minutes of evac time from point of injury to my BAS. That's important so that I can use that time to triage as necessary and treat as necessary. And during the third phase of the operation, we have air as our main asset for evacuation from the roll 1. However, if we do not see a need for air, we will use ground ambulance to evacuate them back to the BSA or to more definitive care. With that being said, once we do this, this is for a 30-day period or as long as 30 days. That will reflect in our casualty estimates. Our casualty estimates, when you first look at them, look like they're pretty high, 37 in total. Wounded in action, we're expecting 21, 4 KIA, and 12 disease non-battle injuries. Again, I want to specify that that number is high due to the fact that this is for possibility of 30-day period. Stability operations will conclude when the TCP pipeline has been secured and has been returned to the national authorities, also known as GOAT. At the end of this, at the end of phase 3, our battalion, 1A, will fall in order with the brigade on their withdrawal plan and take all orders from higher. Sir, that concludes phase 3 of the operation, and pending any question, that will conclude my medical concept brief.
Lieutenant Ellis?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. And you covered a lot of things. And I do have some questions for you.
Sure.
We're covered because I'm very confident that you can handle it. So first, I heard you talk about some of the planning principles. You definitely covered proximity quite well out of all of them. You really talked about proximity as well as control. So good job there, and you provided task controls. So, as I'm looking at currently at phase 3, I'll start here since this is where we're at.
Sure.
You have your battalion station, which is going to be centrally located in your area, correct?
Correct.
And your 2 furthest maneuver units are to your east, Alpha, to your west, Alpha, and to your east, Charlie.
Right.
Now, in the event, first question, 2-part question. First question, what constitutes a mass count for your aid station?
For my aid station specifically, will be 5 trauma patients. Reason being, I have 2 providers, and I feel very confident in their ability to be able to treat 2 traumas. Also, we'll refer to them as urgent surgical patients.
Okay.
And if I'm not able to evacuate them within the time limit at 10 minutes, if they're not outside of my battalion aid station, I'm now at more patient load than I am able to meet. At that point, I would be able to call a mass scout.
Okay.
Not myself, but I would refer that back to them.
Okay, so you're at a mass count. So the second part of this question is that given that now your aid station has declared a mass count, there are still more patients coming in. Charlie Troop, and then, Charlie Company, and Alpha Company are receiving casualties. Those combat medics that are integrated are receiving casualties. What course of action could you take to treat those patients? How could you provide for medical coverage for those patients, given this dispersal plan?
Right.
And that you're at a mass count?
So that would ultimately be up to my commander. I'm not able to stop any incoming patients or any casualties. However, I would communicate to him that we do have 2 assets. We have a full company over here and a full company over here on both objectives that also have battalion aid stations that we have grids to, sir.
Okay. So wording was off, but that's essentially I was trying to get you to say. You coordinating with your sister battalions.
Right.
So you have 410 to your east, and you have, I believe that's 166 to the west, which is good. That's what I wanted to get you to say.
Sure.
Perfect. Next question for you is, well, not I don't really have any questions, more of just a comment. You have a thorough understanding of the maneuver plan. It is awesome. It was to a point where, I will be honest with you, I thought that it was more of a maneuver, especially on phase 2, than it was medical. So make sure that you thoroughly cover things, key things. 2 big important things: casualty estimates and medical functionary. You did a good job with that casualty estimates, especially in phase 3, because the number was so high. And the casualty estimates that I've been saying, those get people's attention. Commanders' ears perk up, because we're talking about potentially these are soldiers that are going to be either injured, hurt, or worst case scenario, killed. That's going to get people's attention. So you need to be able to, you don't want to burst through that effort. You did a great job on phase 3 with that specifically. But MFAs, I think you probably need to look into providing more information and more background about the MFA. Don't get into the weeds of everything. But as my MEDO, you need to give me that confidence that you know where you're getting all this, what you can control at your level, and then what you need to outsource, or where you're going to be getting it from. It's more so what needs to happen. Other than that, for me, you did a really good job. And just one thing in your beginning, you kind of skimmed over your orientation. Give a thorough orientation. So an orientation on the map should include what? Grid, yarn. What is depicting this? What depicts this? You talked about what's the scale, but what depicts this? What depicts that? All that. Just a little bit better with it. But phenomenal job. That's all I have.
You got it right there on the legend on your board. So if you would have just went right down that, what each color means, what the circle green thing means for C-wire or whatever, that would have covered your orientation of the map, right? North, south, and arrow, that sort of thing. And then also on the medical function areas, like, you did them pretty much in phase 1, but then you didn't hit really on them in 2 or 3. And I know you talked a little bit about this will happen in phase 2 or this will happen in phase 3 when you were briefing up front during phase 1. So separate it out, or if you do brief it all up front, make sure you re-hit it when it's in that phase, right?
Sure.
Also, don't forget your time distance analysis. All right, you did one of them. You did Stanley to Panther, and then I don't think you did another time distance analysis after that. So, how long is it going to take you to get patients from your role 1 back to the role 2 or to the AXP? Where is it? AXP.
Close to XP is right here.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you want to have those times, right? Air and ground. But other than that, man, you brief well. You have good presence, professional. I can't knock you on any of that. But just don't forget. I mean, we're medical, right? So don't forget the medical piece. Great job on maneuvering as well. That's all I got.
Do you have any questions?